Hello guys and welcome to episode 3 of the Pokemon Horizons podcast. Today obviously we're going to talk about episode 4, all of the stuff that's come out, including stuff in the magazines, and then talk about next week's episode. So let me just say, firstly, this episode, again, another banger, like Horizons just cannot miss. So let me go over some of the highlights of the episode. Firstly, Roy's personality, oh my god, bro. I knew I was saying for ages that Roy is my GOAT, and then after seeing his very first episode, I absolutely loved him. And there's a lot of things, there's a lot of interesting things we learned about him. Which are firstly, he does online classes like Liko, and secondly, basically, he wants to become a trainer, but there's no other trainers on his island, so it's like just him and his grandfather. And basically, it turns out, so basically, but he doesn't become a normal trainer. He wants to become a trainer from which are called Agent Adventurers, and they basically challenge Pokemon from the challenge legendary Pokemon, travel the world, and many other things like that. So yeah, that's kind of his guide, and I really like that. It's very simplistic and it's a really nice goal. We also learned more about the ancient Pokeball, where it's it's called, and yes, what Pokeball is called the ancient Pokeball. It's apparently very old, and apparently it's just, and apparently you cannot open it. For some reason you can't open it, and Roy's assuming it's empty, but I think there's definitely something in there. As well, Fuecoco Bundle of Joy, I loved it, and I love how it like, as well as that, it really grew attached to Roy, because at first, like, he just ran when it was singing, but over the course of yesterday, Roy and Fuecoco actually formed quite a strong bond, and even though he hasn't caught it yet, I think you'll catch it in the next episode. And yeah, honestly, that's gonna be a really, those, how they were interacting and everything, they are honestly a perfect match. They are honestly a perfect match. Something as well that I want to bring up is that Liko and Roy's Liko Pendant and Roy's Pokeball is somehow connected, as when they got close to each other, both their respective are inside glowing. So it tells me that somehow Liko's Pendant and Roy's Pokeball are somehow connected, which I'm very interested to find out more as well. We got more on the Spartacles, not much, but they were really good again. Freed again, being a badass as well. We also found out that Freed doesn't like being called a professor, which is quite interesting, because we know throughout the marketing is called Professor Freed, but Freed doesn't like being called a professor, which I hope you understand why. As well, we talked about on the Explorers at the end, and they basically they were talking to a butler. The guy we saw in that special preview a few weeks back, that's a butler. That wasn't the boss. Well, apparently the boss is called like Gideon or something along those lines, and basically his name is named after a meteorite. And what Pokemon came fighting out of space? Rayquaza. And what do you know we're seeing soon? Rayquaza. So yeah, I think that the Explorers are gonna have something to do with that Rayquaza, and they're gonna want Liko's Pendant for something to link with that, I reckon. But let's talk about Liko and Roy's interactions. They were really good with each other, like. And League basically as well. It was quite a funny episode, as they had the Pokemon chasing gag, but they actually didn't but they made it really funny. But basically, Liko was getting chased, and then they would transition it into like a more calm scene with Roy, and it was really funny. And I liked how their two stories just obviously interacted over the span of the episode, and basically yeah, like again, another really good episode. Next week's episode is gonna be a good one. We know from magazine leaks that Liko and Roy are gonna be fighting Amethio next week. Obviously, I think they're gonna get destroyed, and then Free's gonna come in and save them again. But yeah, as a quick rundown of the preview for episode 5. Roy went back onto the airship to go and see Faye Coco again. Then explorers have arrived at the airship or around that area, and well, yeah, and basically a battle is going to begin with Liko and Roy versus Amethio, and it looks like Amethio is going to be using his Corviknight in battle and his Ceruledge. So yeah, he's not going to be playing around in the next episode. And well, in terms of other stuff related to Horizons, well, we found out that the reason the airship actually had to stop was because it had like cracks all over it. It was cracking, and I think that might have been from where the Pokemon do you remember in episode 2 where they had that fight on the airship? I reckon it related to that. And also, it turns out that thing that they planted was a tracker. Like, a lot of us assumed it was a tracker. And yeah, we were correct to assume. And also, there was some. Also, the Ludlow and Nidoking theory just got even more fuel to the fire in this episode, because it turns out Ludlow does own the Quaxly. And who owns the Quaxly else? Nidoking. And they said apparently soon that Nidoking's identity is going to be revealed very soon. And I'm telling you, it's Ludlow, guys. Then yeah, there was actually, I think there's a few Ash references in the episode. But basically, one of the school kids asked Roy why not get a Pikachu, which clearly, and this is what at the start of Pokemon, so clearly that's a reference back to when Ash, his first Pokemon was Pikachu. And throughout the episode as well, there was a few things that people thought Roy's grandfather was Ash Ketchum, but really growing up, no, absolutely no way, Ash. But yeah, again, another great episode, and obviously Pokemon Horizon just does not miss. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.